Well, the reality is that the American empire and the fragile experiment in democracy called the USA is in deep decline. That we have an economy with oligarchs and plutocrats at the top. The middle class is being pushed slowly but surely into the working poor. They still have jobs, but they're still poor. So the wife and the husband have to work. Wages have been stagnating for over 35 years. The average worker in America makes the same as the average worker 35 years ago. But at the top, the increase is 600% for the top 1%. So productivity has gone up, but the wages have stagnated because our trade unions are weak and the workers are unprotected. And of course, 5 million manufacturing jobs have left as a result of NAFTA, and now as a result of the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which is NAFTA on steroids. It's gone out to the east. It's gone out to Asia. So the multinational corporations leave the United States, jobs lost, go to other parts of the world for cheap labor. First it was Mexico and Latin America, now it's more and more Asia, you see. And then our culture is just so decadent. Korea has its own wealth inequality. Korea has its own neoliberal order where you end up with the well-to-do, the top 1% doing very well, and the people in the middle coping and having to deal with downward mobility oftentimes, you see. And that is a global phenomenon that Korea is part and parcel of. That's very true. By decadent, what I mean is it's obsessed with those fleeting pleasures, stimulation, titillation, pseudo-celebrities. It's a culture of superficial spectacle. It's a culture with weapons of mass distraction, so that the sleepwalking is reinforced, the numbness is reinforced. So people as consumers is their primary orientation toward the world, rather than citizens concerned with public interest, or human beings concerned with issues of life, death, sadness, sorrow, and joy. In fact, one way of talking about the culture is it promotes a joyless quest for pleasure. So it's all about pleasure, pleasure, pleasure. Insatiable pleasures, but there's no joy in it. You get one pleasure, you want another one. You get one stimulation, you want another one. You get one titillation, you want another one. So you're never satisfied. It's insatiable. Whereas joy, of course, is enduring. Joy cuts at the very depth of our soul. Pleasure is always on the surface, you see. And that's one of the reasons why we have the highest levels of depression in the world, in the United States. We have the highest levels of infant mortality in the modern world, of infant mortality, highest levels of homicide, highest levels of mass incarceration, highest levels of inequality, and the highest levels of mental illness and depression. Well, one, we've got to recognize the reality. We can no longer live in a state of denial. First, it's a matter of consciousness. It's a matter of a awareness. It's a matter of a breakthrough in psychological, moral, spiritual self. And that goes hand in hand with political organization, political mobilization. Some of us have to hit the streets. Some of us have to go to jail. Some of us have to put pressure on the politicians. Some of us have to call what Martin Luther King Jr. called. Martin Luther King Jr. understood Ming Jung. Oh, in his deepest sense. The underdogs. Straighten their backs up, become awake, alert, aware, then they join with others. You see. And it's all about love. It's all about love. It has to have love at the center of it. We've conflated and confused and confused being successful, being great, as if they're identical. To be great is like Martin King. A great person has a quality of love for others and a quality of service to help others, especially the Ming Jung, especially the underdog, the poor, left out, the misfits, the orphans, the widows, the fatherless, the motherless. Successful is material prosperity, high position, high title. Everybody looks up at you as if you're a peacock walking around with your foliage, you know. But greatness is like an eagle. You soar, but you're concerned about others who are still on the ground. Now let's come up with a way of talking about how we change it. How do we transform our societies? How do we get more courageous leaders? How do we get more truth-telling citizens? How do we get people who are willing to sacrifice for justice rather than make big money for prosperity? And that's a renaissance. You had to have a renaissance. Renaissance of love, renaissance of justice, renaissance of compassion, a renaissance of concern about others, a renaissance with sensitivity to other people's suffering.
Get together.
Yes, you got to come together. Solidarity, back to Minjung.
Okay.
Back to Minjung. Where is that solidarity? You know what I mean?